front of me over here, we had a big firm called W.H. Jackson's. Over here, we had Evan Williams, and over here we had Watts Brokers. We also had over here T. Rolls, which was the biggest firm in the Brighton market. They had 2 8-wheeler lorries, and they had 4 Leyland lorries as well. They were the biggest firm. We had Romanchett and Till, they were in the middle. We had Worthing Fruit and Flower Company. We had over here a firm called W.E. Bowles. We had Faze the florist. We had Charles Legg at the top end. On the inside of this firm we had T.D. Novis. Up a little further we had my father's firm, B.E. Marchant Limited. Coming back down the other side we had J.G. Hale Limited. We had Hollis & Co. that only sold watercress. Down the front end here we had R.T. Smith's. My grandfather's firm, which was E. Marchant and Sons over here, and then a small firm at the other end which was called Crosden's. They were the main employers of the market.
Go on then, you start.
Well, father started, he was going back to Old Brighton. The old market used to be where the town hall is down there. That was the old market.
I've got a photograph of that as well.
And he was originally training to be an accountant. Then his father died, so he went and saw the boss, said, look, I can't carry on trying to be an accountant. My father's died, my mum needs the money. I've got to get a proper job. Yeah. And he said, well, if you're interested, Tom, he said, I know someone down the fruit and veg market wants a bookkeeper.
We were fruit growers in Kent. And 1 year, prices weren't too good in London. So great-granddad told Bill to come down to Brighton, take a pitch. He would send down the fruit by rail. Then, of course, he got to know a few people down here. And that's how it all started. I think he came down just before the turn of the century. Do you, Ali?
Yeah.
My great-grandfather used to sell sawdust around the pubs in the 20s and early 30s, and then moved to here when it was a brand new market in 1936. And then my grandfather, he took over from 54 up until 1958, and then it was run by his 2 brothers, who run the firm up until about the 1970s, early 80s, of which time then my father started his own business in 1958, and he went right up until 1994, when he ceased trading.
Well, I'm very proud to say that I'm the third generation. We've been in business about 42 years. And my granddad, Thomas Griffiths, hence TG Fruits, started in 1972. Wherever you went, there was father and son teams, or father, son and grandfather teams. That was a lovely thing about it. There was us, there was the novices, there was the Mearseys.
Yeah, well, my dad worked for our granddad before he went in the army.
C.H. Mears.
Yeah, and he opened up in the old market in Oxford Street, I think it was.
That's right, yeah.
And then it was very busy, no supermarkets in those days, so the markets were very, very busy. And nearly all the families worked for my dad.
For each other,
you know.
Well, the first thing we always used to say, you're the first for the bollockins and the last for the pay, which meant basically that if you asked your father for a rise, you didn't get that, but you were lined out, you were the first ones to get told off if something went wrong.
Obviously that's my dad.
That's his mum.
That's my mum. And I'm not sure who's looking out the window. Is that my dad looking out the window now, the lorry?
looks like Bonnie and Clyde to me.
It does, yeah.
To me, it was everybody worked with their dad and their brothers because I could see it going on everywhere, you know. So for me, it was just normal. But now, being older and going to other places, I can see it was quite exceptional.
So there was generally a jolly good atmosphere amongst the wholesalers. Right, Ali, would you agree?
I would, yes. It was busy.
It used to be absolutely rammed in there, didn't it?
The noise of people, not necessarily shouting, but to get their voice across.
Well, you just get people shouting the odds and they
Oi,
say...
it's just...
You had the lorries.
Lots of noise from diesel engines, and it got very smoky.
Yeah.
The barrows, the clack of the steel tyres up and down the curbs.
Plus the fact you've got lots of people milling about.
It really had a buzz, and we call it a buzz in the market.
10 for £1. Any 10 for £1. A pound each in it. I'm giving it away basically. I'll take the Take 10 for £1.
My earliest memories was when I used to get up in the morning and I used to get in the car with my dad. I remember it was always quiet outside the house. And then we used to drive down the road and it was quiet. It was early, so we never used to talk to each other. And as soon as we took the corner and come into Circus Street, it was bang, it was off. You know, there was forklifts, people shouting, there was lots of action. And I remember thinking, Christ, in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, there was this vibrant place, you know, full of lots of characters. And when I was a child, I was a bit starstruck by it. I'd never forget it.
Terrific, it really was terrific. There was so many, it was laughs all the time. I mean, when I first came down, there was a massive firms along the front. There was on where Tastables, that used to be called Howes and Dances. They were there. Then next to them there was the Leany Brothers. They had Worthing Fruit and Flower Company. The next to them there was Stoners and Good Juice. And then there was Rolls just down the bottom. That was all Rolls. Then inside there was, if you went up the side there was Bowles's. Then next to Bowles's was T.G. Fruit, small one when Dennis Griffith was alive. Then there was another one next to it. Can't remember who that was, but Charlie Legg was up in the corner. Then you had Novices. Then in the corner you had Jackson's. And then on the back row there was E Marchants, and then Brian Marchant took it over there. And there was another one on there a bit further. Oh, there was a Watercress man on the corner.
And it was built on personalities and that sort of stuff in the market in those days.
Yeah.
And it was trust, banter, the staff, that sort of stuff. I mean, we had 3 drivers work for us, 31, 32 years, and they were like family. When I was a little boy, 2 or 3, I used to go in the lorry with him. He'd take me up his house for lunch, and we were like a big family. And the bloke he worked for my dad for a week, Rodney. He worked for somebody else before, but he worked for my dad for a week. He said, I like working here. Can I work here the rest of my life? And he said that to him.
Yeah.
I was very fond of a few old chaps. I mean, I never knew them completely, but they used to come and help us tidy up. But I came to find out that they were old porters that used to work in the market that just couldn't leave the place. You know, there was Ray Hardwick, wasn't there?
Tiny, weighed about 22, 23 stone. Enormous fella, very, very strong. Very, very strong. He's reputedly got a picture somewhere with 300 weight of potatoes on him, one on each shoulder and one across the top of his head. Absolute, real good, strong man. Sadly, he only passed away a couple of years ago. His knees had all gone because of carrying the weights.
Our Uncle Ern, who's Ernie Chapman, he used to work in the market, unloading the lorries and all that. And he could carry 500 weight at a time. He used to put sacks under his arms. People used to load him up, sacks across his shoulders and one across his head, and carry it from here at least to the end of the market here.
To someone's lorry.
To someone's lorry.
500, I don't know.
500 weight.
It's like 10 bags of the potatoes we have now.
It's like half a tonne.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quarter of a tonne, isn't it?
Quarter of a tonne, yeah.
The first time we ever painted anything here was, I think it was 2008. The shutters had been painted and painted, you know, they'd been really destroyed with just tagging. And then I think it was the Tana Committee, I don't know what their name is, they've got some sort of name like that. They'd been put in contact with us through the council, through City Clean, who we'd done all of the lanes, you know, where we painted all the James Brown and the chessboard and all that. So after the success of that, we got offered all sorts of weird jobs by all different areas of the city. So that was how we started then painting the shutters. To be honest, it's almost strange. It's a bit like when you come in here, it's a bit like time stops outside and you could stay in here for hours and hours and hours and not realise how long you've been. You kind of feel like you're outside, but you're not, because it's so big. And because it's got massive chunks of the ceiling missing, it sort of allows the air still to flow around, so you don't feel like you're inside, but you obviously are. I think it's really cool.
The only Marchants are really the big family that were probably there was two
lots of them. There was Michael's son, Michael's dad, Brian, and his uncle, which is Eric, out the back.
Frank Marchant, there was and that was and the fact Rollses were at the end here.
No, Rollses were here.
Bowles.
Yeah.
And they, you know, were you long enough on the King's 2? You know that bit of that night?
No, I don't remember that.
That was their garage. You used to park their lorries in there. That was Uncle Reg, and that's where they had a stall there, and then the stand at the end of the market. That's where the bomb went through, and went into the clinic.
They came in from over the sea to do the raid, and a bomb came through the market roof, and it came at quite a shallow angle, because when it came through, it hit the market floor and it bounced and it took off. And the market at that end, the northern end, is lower than the road, and there was a window quite high, and it bounced through the window, smashed the window, didn't explode, and it went into the clinic across the road where it exploded, killing most people, but I believe one doctor did survive. My father and Stan, I don't know who else was there, were inside in their area, but it had cast iron roller shutters that came round, and some were shut, and the explosion burst the cast iron shutters, and they're like shrapnel. It hit my Uncle Stan, he staggered back and my father sort of caught him and got him down. But unfortunately the shrapnel had hit him in the face and had removed half of his face, and he died in my father's arms.
H is a male Harris hawk, and his full name's Hunter Sparrow the First. And basically, about 18 months ago, we were asked to come to Circus Street to solve the pigeon problem. You couldn't breathe in here. There's so much pigeon guano, it was unbelievable. 10 years of hundreds of pigeons breeding and messing the place up. It was a real health hazard. So some guys cleaned it up, about 10 of them with skips. And then almost immediately it started getting covered in guano again. So they called me and H in for our services to in a natural way, clear the pigeons away, let them go somewhere else. And we've been doing it for the past 18 months, and now, as you can see, there aren't any pigeons at all in Circus Street. They won't come in because they're basically scared to come in, so he's doing a good job. It's a very ethical way of solving a pigeon problem. And the place is open to the public, and they do art displays and all sorts of things for kids, which is really nice, So we come once a fortnight now, and as long as we keep coming, the pigeons will stay away. And that's us. So we enjoy it, don't we, Mitch? Yeah.
I think it was the fact that the business came before anything else. Doesn't matter what you're doing, the business came first, no matter what. And I think that was a memory that lasts. I'd had the market ever since I was born, and it was there was a sort of breed that said you never went on holiday, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous. My father never took a holiday.
No, he didn't.
I don't know what it would be like to have a family holiday because my father was never there.
Different life then, wasn't it?
Totally different.
But
yeah.
it was banter, it was lovely, it was great.
Fun. And you felt you went home, you were tired, but you had money. There's money being earned, and you were having a good time, and it was great. And the whole thing.
You felt content at the end of the day. You had a good day, that sort of stuff. And it's a different world now, isn't it?
Yeah, the camaraderie and the friendship and that sort of thing just probably doesn't exist in any business. And it's just, I mean, someone said to me that the supermarkets have killed it, but it's not. It's because kids of my kids' generation, I don't want to be greengrocers or butchers or, I mean, it's a totally different story.
And that sort of stuff, and it's there's no tradesmen's left anymore.
At the moment out there, I've got my grandson works with me, but he's into music. He goes to BIM. He's in 2 groups. My youngest daughter, 15, is still at Brighton College, so she won't be interested in that.
No, my son, he's not interested at all. He's in fact on tour in a band, playing at the moment. He'd rather be in music than getting up at 5 o'clock to come to a fruit market. Yeah.
We've had to take a lot of our business online. We now sell via our website, and we've computerised the whole back room. So the 3rd generation, myself, my brother Tom, my brother Vern, and my brother Jimmy have been updating the company in the more later years.
I've got 2 daughters which do graffiti, and they've sort of been doing it for a long time around the Brighton area, and they find this a good environment to come and paint, and they've both done a lot of painting in here. they've built up quite a following. You know, they're kind of it just makes me smile whenever I think about what they've done. You know, that they're sort of known in America and around the world. You know, the other week some French people came here and they were more excited about meeting Fuzzcat than they were about meeting any of the other people, which I think is crazy. You know, a 13-year-old girl from Blatchington Mill that's famous around the world at graffiti.
Being one of those people that have been here when it had a real buzz, and it employed a lot of fellas, and then to suddenly see the porters going, and then the lorry drivers going, and then the whole trade just changed. And then with the decline, the repairs weren't done to the building, so it's gradually a downward spiral.
I don't know. I can still see my father standing at his podium with 3 or 4 or 5 people all around him asking various prices and writing out bills. So I suppose it was just the end of an era, isn't it? We have to move on, and what else can you do with a big space apart from use it for something?
This market packed up in 2004. All that was left then was J.G. Hale down the middle there. T.G. Fruit was the big one on the corner there. Tastables or T.A. Stables, Tim Stables was at the top end. The flower firm Fays was there. There was another flower firm called Parsons. They were there. There was C.H. Mears, which were out in the car park. And that was the only firms that went up to the new market.